Welcome to this week's edition of the mma-analysis podcast. I am Ben the Better, changing up things. I went away from losing bets constantly to now hosting a really bad podcast. Brad, how you doing?
A losing bet podcast. It's what we do.
It's what we do. That's why Ben's a perfect fit for this podcast. Did we win Munich last week? I don't recall what it was.
Yes, we did. We very much won Munich. It was Allen inside the distance.
That was an easy one. That's my boy.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Roberson going for that leg lock. That was
as soon as that happened, I was like, oh yeah, we're good.
Even with like little time left, I was like, I bet there's a chance he could finish this. I was like, I bet this could actually happen. Overall, I thought that card I had way more fun than expected, I would say, on that card.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other way to look at it. There was some weird shit. There was some fun shit. There were some bad fights that were so bad that they were entertaining. And, of course, there was Masvidal getting absolutely put into another universe, which was great.
Yeah, sometimes the MMA gods are kind. You know, Masvidal talks all week. It was all his camp, and he didn't have a training camp, and he had to cut too much weight. And then he had that clip, which I've seen like 1,000 times now, of him talking about how Usman has the least amount of power of anyone he's ever faced. And like he was joking, that was like a 2-minute segment on that. That, no joke, to me was one of the cleanest knockouts I have ever seen.
Oh yeah, ever. It had everything, especially because it was like still real early in the round, so like Masvidal's hair was still all wet from the water they sprayed on him in the corner.
The water when he hit it. Oh god, that was just justice for everything. And typical MMA, right? I was as impressed with Usman as the next guy. But did you notice after that fight, now Usman's the pound for pound greatest fighter in the world. The guys who were above him didn't lose, but Usman beat a journeyman who has like 20 losses on his record.
A lightweight journeyman.
Yes. So that made him the greatest. But, I mean, Usman's striking looked better, but until that punch, he still, to me, looked like Usman's striking. Like, it didn't look like this badass striker. I've seen he's definitely, from 3 years ago, sure. But I thought this Usman striking looked like he did, the last few fights. I don't think it was this big jump. But man, that punch, it was clean.
That punch was just about as perfect as it gets, but all of the right hands that he threw in the first round were hideous.
Yeah. They were. I was actually, because I bet on Usman. I obviously wanted Masvidal to lose, but I was actually kind of getting a little bit worried in the second round because he was spamming those overhand rights that were missing by like 20 feet. And I was like, is he going to gas himself out trying to finish this guy? Because he talked beforehand the whole card how he wanted to finish him and knock him out and all this stuff. And then he was just spamming these wild shots, which is not the best way for a guy who doesn't have the best striking or the most power to win fights. But Masvidal sucks.
Yeah.
He sucks.
He's not very good. If he was good, I think I said this last week, if he was good, he would have been a champion when he fought like Gilbert Melendez back in Strikeforce.
Yeah,
like, it wouldn't have taken him getting to 36 and fighting for a welterweight title in the UFC to win the belt.
I mean, when you look at Masvidal, and I think we talked about this a little bit last week, but it was more of just circumstances that got him to this point for, getting title shots, and especially the popularity, right? I think it was, that Askren fight, like it was, that changed everything for him. But the funny thing is, like, the 180 of the turn. I remember when he was facing Darren Till, everyone on planet Earth wanted Masvidal, to win that fight, and everyone was rooting for Masvidal. And then the Askren stuff happens, and then he fights Usman, and everyone's this big Masvidal fan. Everyone wants Masvidal to win, and man, did it turn on a dime where everyone just hates this fucking guy.
How could you not? I mean,
he's awful.
Like, I don't know what else to say. He's. One of those, like, we'll talk about another fake gangster later on the card. But, he's not a likable person. He had one amusing catchphrase that everyone caught on to. And then he has repeatedly shown who he is after that.
Yep.
And it's not somebody that's good at fighting. I mean, he's always been like decently technical but like not an elite fighter. Absolutely not. Never.
No, and I think, he got that big win versus Darren Till, which was a big win. That was a good win. I know you've talked about it forever. Darren Till only uses one side of his body.
Yep.
So, that's a little bit different there. And then that famous moment with the Leon Edwards thing and that. But, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I saw on Twitter after this Usman fight, you've been baptized. Like, this whole thing, like, everyone starts using, what Masvidal says. So it was tremendous. So Sean should be good. It was great.
He'll be on in 10 minutes probably. I'm very much looking forward to the beer that I have tonight. It's from a little brewery in my hometown, and it's a tropical stout.
That sounds weird because I wouldn't think of stout being tropical.
No, I'm interested. I'll keep you posted.
Let me know what that is. I like kind of weird combinations. I remember, have you ever had a sour IPA?
Yes. Yeah, I actually quite enjoy those.
They're great. It's kind of like the best of both worlds because you get the sour, the sours, then it cuts it with the IPA. Real good. I when I used to go to Denver for work, like all the time, they always had a million sour IPAs. I have no idea why. We were out of any beer that I drink. So Helena had Coronas, which not a fan of Coronas. But
you got the lime in there, which is like the only saving grace. But
you can tell it's a bad beer by the fact that you have to put fruit in it to even semi get through the beer. Not a good sign. And Wes is not joining tonight. He got the second vaccine, and the chip is rattling around in there, and he's not
becoming one with the Matrix. He's got to do what he's got to do.
Yep. Yeah,
pulling some Mr. Robot shit. He's gonna bring down major corporations. Wes is doing the Lord's work right now.
Yep. If you can tell me, Ben, have you seen the streak our boy Ben is on in the last week?
He must be on fire because I'm not even seeing fire. I'm not even seeing the bets in the chat lately because nobody wants to fade this guy right now. Woo. I'll tell you what.
He's having like 8 in one day. And now what he does, like he always does, right? Like when he has like a few good days in a row, he talks shit to everyone. He brags how he's the best. He says, buy my subscription, all this stuff, how he's amazing, calls people stupid. And then he'll go on and have like 12 straight losing days. Like now's the time to hop on Ben Trail.
Oh, so. Yeah. And this is the point where he's like, oh, I've been hitting all my bets. Time to make everything a 4-unit bet, baby.
Yeah.
Well, yesterday
it was the perfect of like he's just on a lucky streak. So he bet. We had a 4-unit play again yesterday, and he took the Mavericks -1, went off as the Mavericks +5. So he lost 6 points on the line, and he won. Like that's kind of better. Even when he wins. All right. I guess we'll go through the rest of the card, and then from last week, and then when Sean gets here, we'll cover the other card. So starting off, we started off with not the best first few fights. Wasn't feeling it early on with the Molina fight. Oh no, I'm thinking of the one. This is the one that did start good, and then it got slow. So women's strawweight division, Ariana Carnelossi defeated Na Liang. This was actually the good fight. I'm thinking of last week, the first 3 fights I fell asleep in. This fight was actually okay. It was okay.
This fight was very fun and very terrible.
Well, that's the best kind of women's MMA. DC, he compared it to what fight did he do?
Hearns Hagler.
Yeah, what a comparison that was. DC and Rogan were almost. They're getting worse every card, which at this point in Rogan's career, I didn't think it was possible to get worse every card. And DC is always just terrible, but he really amps up the terribleness when Rogan's really having a bad night. This is bad.
I mean, he had to do all his Jake Paul stuff too, and be the hall monitor and try and bring down MMA's biggest star, Jake Paul, as well.
Yeah, the funny thing is, like, DC was like, I'm not going to box you. I'm not a boxer. I want to fight you in an MMA fight. It's like, just don't say anything. That's a better response. Saying nothing. And Jake Paul's just thriving on this. It's hilarious. He's calling out Usman and all this stuff. Like, the kid's smart. He's a smart kid, and he gets it.
I mean, he's more popular than everybody but Conor.
Yeah. I'm sure some MMA fans would argue like Ngannou and some other people, but the only people I can think of that are more popular than Jake Paul are in MMA is Conor, Brock Lesnar, and Ronda Rousey. That's it. That's it. There's no one else, and that is
he hasn't even fought in MMA.
No, he doesn't need to. He just fights up MMA guys, and I got to give it to him. Pretty good.
Good. I don't like everyone's like, oh, he's a garbage person. Like most of the people in MMA are garbage people. So that's not a disqualifier. And he's getting more people paid than like Frank Mir wasn't even fighting him, and he got like $200,000 to box a 44-year-old for 6 rounds.
I think he got like $350.
There you go.
No joke. And Askren, who's literally just retired, doing wrestling coaching, playing on the farm, doing frisbee golf. Jake Paul gave him a check for $500,000. Like, that's a good man.
He paid off his hip surgery with that check.
Yeah, because the UFC wasn't covering that.
That's right.
Oh, it's so bad. So the next fight was pretty great. Jeff Molina taking some dude who just walks forward and refuses to block punches. I enjoyed this fight. I thought this was a great fight. Molina's not great.
I don't remember a lot about this fight. I just remember that they both threw a shitload of punches, and Molina especially threw like a billion punches in the third round of that fight. So that was fun, but these Chinese fighters, they're not good.
But they're fun.
Fun. They're below the threshold of mediocre MMA, so they get back into fun MMA.
Yes, it's like exactly. And this fight was unanimous. This fight was closer than I thought we were gonna see a split knockdown at the end of the second round, but he lost that round up until that knockdown pretty decisively. Like, this fight was close to going their way. I don't think Molina's all that good, but I thought he came out after kind of taking a beating that first round and a half and won the fight. But I don't think any of these guys are going to be making their way up the rankings anytime soon. No. And then we had Rodrigo Vargas defeating Rong Zhu. I recall very little about this fight. Very little. There was some wrestling. There was some nothing.
The thing I remember most about this fight is Rong Zhu, which sounds like it's saying he's the wrong Jew, but you got the right Jews here, so we're covered on that front. But him just looking to his corner because he was completely lost in there.
Yeah, he showed the signs. He started connecting a little bit, and you can see the kid had some good hands. He just seemed not prepared for this fight, and he wasn't fighting anyone worth a shit either. He'll get another fight, and hopefully they put him with someone like really bad, like really, really, really bad. So
they need to do like a
type.
They need to do like a regional Chinese circuit. To get these fighters wins under the UFC banner, but not fighting UFC competition.
They are. Did you see what they're doing? A Contender Series China in the US.
They need it.
Yeah. How great is that? I hope it's like just 10 Chinese fighters. Like no ground games, just sloppy striking, overhand rights. It's going to be great. I'm excited for it. You don't have to, and we don't have to bet on it. Like, there's no way you bet on something like that. So you just watch it. It'll be fun.
You just bet the dog. Literally every fight, just bet the dog.
5 dogs. Yeah. That's the way to do it. And then a fight that I got totally wrong. Donna Batgirl defeated Kevin Natividad by knockout in the first round. I didn't think he was good, but I didn't think he was that bad. Not good. Not good.
I don't have much to add. Like, he looks like he should be good at fighting.
He should be. He's like
not.
Congo.
He's not good at fighting.
Not even. Then we move up featherweight division. Patrick Sabatini defeated Tristan Connolly. Sabatini looked awesome for 2 rounds, and then just decided he was done. He was done fighting for that 3rd round.
Yeah.
Why not?
Sabatini, I think, is pretty good. I'm a little salty that I didn't get to bet him as like a decent dog against the fat Brazilian that he was supposed to face his first time around. But yeah, such is life. Connolly's Canadian.
He looked like death.
Very Canadian.
Like on the scales, that was one of the worst I've ever seen. He escaped from Auschwitz. And we're allowed to say that because this is a Jewish only podcast as of right now. But he looked sickly because he fought 170 in his first UFC fight, and then he goes down to 145 and looks like he died. But he still had the better cardio. This fight, he still had the better cardio. He did skills, so that's usually tough in MMA.
I want to see
and then we got
Connolly. Before we move on, I want to see Connolly against Austin Hubbard because they both suck, and both of their only attributes are having good cardio and being tough. I just want to see what happens.
Yeah, no skills, just tough cardio. That good. Yeah. Next fight, we talked about earlier. Brendan Allen, Carl Roberson, with the ankle lock. Roberson is just hilariously bad. Like, just how do you not know yourself at all? Like, no ground game, gets subbed all the time. He's getting close to the end of the round, where at this point he should just wait it out, start the second round on the feet, try to throw some bombs and get lucky and catch him. No. The submission ace that I'm fighting, I'm going to go ahead and go for some leg locks with 20 in the fight.
Yeah, as soon as Allen actually decided that he was going to wrestle, I felt pretty good about this bet. And
I was nervous
once you
first minute.
Yeah, but once you start to wrestle Carl Roberson, there's no you don't stop wrestling him. The fight's pretty much over.
Yeah. That was, and I was kind of pissed because there was not a couple minutes, but Roberson was letting his hands go, and I was worried because Allen was landing punches. His striking looked pretty decent in that first couple minutes. He had some moments, and I was like, oh no, don't go this route. This is the only way you can lose. And then he was unlike him. He was very conservative when he got on top. He didn't go for his normal heavy elbows, ground and pound. Didn't really go out for subs or anything like that. So I was very excited when Roberson decided the fight was over and go for a leg lock. Oh, man,
Munich, 7-17-4 now. It's incredible.
Those were bad judges' calls. Yeah. All right, moving on. Dwight Grant defeated, kind of defeated, Stefan Sekulic. This fight was terrible. This was a very bad fight. Dwight Grant, not good. And this was a bad decision. The wrong guy won. But at the same time, he didn't really do anything either. He didn't do much with his takedowns. He kind of just laid there. There was no big moments. I think this is one of those, it was a bad decision, but I don't give a shit. Neither guy did much at all.
Yeah, if you don't throw punches and you don't get takedowns and do things with them, I don't feel bad about you losing a decision, even if I don't agree with the decision. So, yeah.
It's hard to care. It's really, really hard to care. All right, and then And then we had just a fucking weird run of 6 fights in a row. We started with welterweight division. I mean, these next 3 fights are probably in the history of MMA the 3 weirdest outcomes in a row that I've ever seen. So we start with Randy Brown defeating Alex Oliveira with a one-arm rear naked. Like, I saw some people were like, yeah, this is an interesting technique or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. It chokes him out with a one-arm rear naked choke. That's not an interesting move or some kind of thing like that, or like that's high level. No, you're facing a guy who sucks and doesn't care. Like, that's the only way to break it down.
That's called the alimony technique, I believe. He was just there to get paid, to get the money for the kids. Last week we were talking and you said you didn't like the doesn't go in a cowboy fight. And Lance, I thought you were crazy then. But I think we all got.
I really didn't see the I really didn't see the one-armed rear naked choke playing out. It was so weird. Like I thought it was going to be Randy Brown laying on top and some ground and pound.
He did smash him pretty good before he got the rear naked choke. So there's that too. But it was mostly Cowboy being Cowboy. Yeah. There was some good gagging going on in there and quitting. But I did cash Randy Brown. So it wasn't a complete loss. I still won a bet. I just didn't win the bigger one. Actually, the line was kind of close from doesn't go in the fight to Randy Brown. It was like minus 140, minus 120. So I won, so it doesn't matter because you're laying the juice. So it evens out. I just laid a little bit more to win the same. I ended up betting both of them, so it worked out for me.
Yeah. Randy Brown's good, man. He has a unique skill set, and I feel like he's improving. Yeah. Like I feel like he's improving as a fighter. He's a scary dude at that weight class. He can bang. His ground game seems like it's getting better every time we see him. I wrestling yet. He probably needs to get that a little bit. But I think overall, like he's all the fighter, and he's a scary dude in that weight class. He's huge. He is enormous for that weight class.
He got this started the trend of calf kicks on the night, and Cowboy was like chewing him up with some of the stupid fucking calf kicks early on. And then I feel like it was cumulative what happened during the night. So like all the calf kicks that Cowboy had, they carried over to the next fight, and then they carried over to the next fight, and we'll get there.
So bad. And like calf kicks, like back to that, the calf kicks, and those were hurting, Randy Brown a little bit. Like that's the only chance Cowboy had to win that fight when you see how it played out and everything is calf kicks. And like I hate that. I hate it. They're awful. Mm-hmm. Why do we do them? It's for like an equalizer for bad fighters. But at the same time, outside of maybe freak injuries, right? Like the thing with what's his name? I gotta look back. Crute, and then with Weidman, like there's obviously freak things, but most of the time, calf kicks of a bad fighter aren't beating a good fighter. Normally, the good fighter is still winning, even if they're getting kicked in the calf. Like good fighters, I don't know if they're tougher, if they can just deal with it more. I don't know, but I've never seen like a guy who's way worse win because of calf kicks versus a good guy.
I'm sure we've seen it. I try and block it out of my mind because they're a stupid thing.
Yes, that's fair. So then we chop up the pay-per-view with just some weirdness. Anthony Smith defeated Jimmy Crute, doctor stoppage in between rounds. It was that nerve thing, I guess, that happened to Sean O'Malley, except Sean O'Malley got it and he whined and cried and crawled into a little ball in the corner of the cage. Crute gets 2 takedowns on Anthony Smith. If he had another minute, he might have finished that fight on the ground. And then he's screaming at the ref, saying he can fight. And the reason he got the very end is because when he pounded his chest, he stepped again.
He rolled his ankle.
Oh man, and like and I would have won a parlay if Crute won, so it wasn't my favorite ending, but just hilarious. Calf kicks are so stupid.
Yeah, I had the over 1.5 in this fight. So lost that in the most hilarious way. But
That is not
like
fun.
if an injury happens to you, and then you are beating the guy after the injury,
That's bad.
Why are you stopping the fight ever?
Yeah. Well, that's what Cruz said. He was like, because it was a nerve thing. It wasn't like he broke his foot or his ACL or whatever it is. And after he was like, I get why he stopped it, but I could still fight. And the funny is, like, maybe I'm wrong. I feel like if the doctor didn't stop that fight rounds, Jimmy Crute was gonna hop over on one leg, easily take Anthony Smith down, and then did you see? Right when it happened, he was like basically laying on the ground with this thing, couldn't move his leg, and shot a double leg from one knee and landed a takedown. And then
He
even
like
when Smith
launched him into space.
he got him up again. So I'm thinking, like, okay, if he can do that twice right after it happened, like, I get the doctor protecting him, especially when he rolled the ankle again at the end. But at the same time, like, I think Crute would have won that fight with one leg.
Yeah, like he's going out there to get punched in the head. Like what?
Yeah. Who are we protecting here?
I will expand on this a bit more in the next fight and people's reactions to it. But like he rolled his ankle.
Yeah.
Like
he's fine today. He had it was a nerve, right? So like he had no permanent damage or anything like that. But I get why they stopped it. That was the last time when he rolled him, when he started beating his chest. It looked like the whole thing just folded under. It wasn't a good look. So then we move on to the next fight, which was my one of my biggest bets of the year. Was on this fight, and this was exactly how I drew it up. You know, Weidman comes in the first 5 seconds, throw a leg kick, and then his leg just completely disappears. It just goes right behind him, completely broken in half. Man, that was hard. You know, I bet on Uriah Hall. I was happy to win a very large wager. But Chris Weidman is one of the good guys, for one. I think he's been around forever. He's always been a good guy. I really like Chris Weidman. I've been a Weidman fan forever. And just like, he's older. When you see an older guy that comes back, he's working hard. He just had a win. He gets this big fight. And for that to happen, that was tough. And Hall, like, I was watching the fights with my dad, and I told him, I was like, this couldn't have happened. Like, Hall is the worst guy for this to happen against. Yep. Like, this is the guy that, like, if he punches you in the face, like, he's like, okay, I got to donate $1,000 to charity for every punch I land. Like, he hates hurting people, and he's such, like, a good guy and everything that I can't think of a worse guy for this to happen to on the other side of it than Uriah Hall.
Yeah, it's there's a few layers to this. So, first of all, fade Uriah Hall next time out, because after doing this, he is absolutely not going to want to hurt anybody. He's not going to throw a punch. He's not going to check a kick. He's not going to do anything in his next fight. So I'm going to fade him. I don't know who he's fighting. I don't know what the price is. I'm going to fade him. The other aspect is you've got, like, yes, it sucks that Weidman broke his leg, but you've got people freaking out like this is the end of his life. We're talking about a guy who has been knocked out brutally on like 5 different occasions in his career.
Fight. That was way worse.
Yeah, like this, as far as a fight-ending outcome goes, is so much better for him for the rest of his life than taking another brutal knockout. And everyone, fans, fighters, everyone like, oh my God, this is so horrible. I've never seen anything so horrible.
It's the visual of it, right? Like, you see people knocked out all the time. You don't see a guy's leg.
And we cheer for it.
Yeah. And, you know, there's a lot of serious, like, at the moment, too, there's a lot of serious things that can happen after a break like that.
Yes.
Like life alter, like Alex Smith, right? And he came back from it, but he almost lost his leg, you know. Yeah, and I think it's just Weidman's such a good dude. And I think that was the other part of it, right? Like, if that was Masvidal breaking his leg, I think there would have just been laugh out louds all over Twitter and funny memes. But for a guy like Weidman at, you know, later in his career, towards the end of his career, I think it was gut wrenching to me. And it wasn't just like the injury or thinking he's dead. It was in that moment too, Weidman's never going to fight again. Like, that is the end of a champion's career. I think that's a little bit tougher too.
It's not the end of his career. He's still making a run for that belt.
hope it is.
He's gonna have an iron. He's gonna have an adamantium leg installed. He's gonna start kicking people and just breaking their shins on his low kicks. It's gonna be
throwing calf kicks.
Nothing but calf kicks for the rest of Weidman's career.
Just right back in there. Oh, and I told you that new Sean would take way longer than a few minutes because buying a house sucks.
Oh yeah, I know.
Terrible. But yeah, so this happened. So now we're in 3 weird fights, and then moving on, women's flyweight division, Shevchenko just absolutely demolishes Jessica Andrade, and I don't think this is. Everyone's like, oh my God, she's unbeatable. Like this was a lopsided fight going in. It played out maybe faster than people expected, but this was never a real test for her, and I don't know if there is one outside of Nunes, and I don't think it's because like everyone thinks she's the greatest fighter ever and all this stuff. There is literally no talent in that weight class. There is none. Look at the people that have gotten title shots in this weight class. They're all like journeywomen in other weight classes that just end up in this division. And Andrade was the best one she faced, yes, but the size difference and everything else, like there was no shot here. And like it's hard for me to give a shit about anything Shevchenko does when I know there's nothing on the other side of the table.
Yeah, so first of all, they created an entire division for her because there he is. They created an entire division for her because she wasn't able to beat the person in the other division. So that's always a good start. And even when she gets a dominant victory, she does it in the most boring way possible. Like, Is there anything worse
than a
crucifix? We're talking about 2021 in apparently high-level MMA, and there's a crucifix victory. Come on.
Yeah. Not great. Not great. Yeah, we talked about what a fun run. I said the 3 fights in a row from the Randy Brown fight to Uriah Hall fight was probably the weirdest 3-fight streak in UFC history. Has to be.
Peak UFC weirdness.
You get a 1-armed rear naked choke, a guy who gets nerve damage in his leg, and still would have won the fight if the doctor let him kept going. He still would have won the fight, and then the last one, Chris Weidman snaps his leg in half. What a run! Yeah. I mean, this card was so much better than expected. I loved this card. I had everything you could possibly want, all the way through from top to bottom. Just great.
Yeah.
Just absolutely great. And then Rose Namajunas knocks out Zhang, head kick. Someone called me a racist after this card because I said, cut Zhang. And they were like, you must hate Asians. And I was like, well, I must hate white people more. It's like, you must be new to this. I said cut Zhang because she was complaining to the ref and said she was fine. It was an early stoppage. Meanwhile, she's eating hammer fists and her head is bouncing off the thing and her arms are by her side. So
she was fine, Lance. She was fine.
Yeah. So I did my whole cut Zhang thing like I always do. You know, that's one of my many things. And I could call her racist, which everyone knows Jews can't be racist.
No. That's ridiculous.
You hate each other enough.
Never been
to hate other people.
Yeah.
Not
even each other, ourselves.
The people we hate the most are us. Self-loathing dudes. That's the thing. We hate us more than anyone else. I promise. But yeah. I mean, I did not see that coming. Did not, and I think Rose is always.
That was some rookie shit.
That was, Rose is better than we think. I think she always is. She kind of surprises us with these moments, but
she's
I don't know.
Unlikable.
She is very unlikable, but at the same time, like, I don't know. That was weird. How does Zhang get caught with something like that? For one,
I also don't think Zhang is as good as everyone wanted to think she was.
Joanna took her to death.
Took her deep. I mean, I had money on JJ, so of course I scored that fight for her. But
well, you were wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think she won that fight.
All right, Wes.
She has skills, but she was also hyped up to be unbelievable. I thought she would do well in this fight. I knew Rose is a pretty damn good fighter, especially in round one. She obviously tails off. We saw that in the Andrade fights. But yeah, that was some rookie shit. Take a kick to the gut. It is not worth it to try to block that, and instead you get smoked upside the head.
Yeah, if I had her abs, I would let people kick me in the stomach all day.
All day.
Yeah.
Just terrible.
This card rocks.
But
I hate to admit it.
At least she's better dead than red, though.
Mm-hmm. Ain't that the truth? She beat Communism and Zhang in one night. That was just tremendous. And then, like, Zhang's like, I want an immediate rematch. I'm like, head kick to death in 1 minute. Back of the line, lady.
Yep.
And the complaining about so I was like, what an idiot. Don't complain about the stoppage. Stop yelling at the ref. You were literally unconscious. And then I was like, well, she's probably badly concussed from what just happened. But then the next day she was on Ariel's show and she was like, yes, that was a bad stoppage. I need a rematch. It's like, so you watched the video when you weren't concussed and that's the conclusion? Her arms were here as hammer fists were pounding her head, and her head was bouncing off the canvas. Like, did you want her to literally like rip off your head and throw it into the crowd? Like, is that the only way to get I know Mortal Kombat just came out. Is that the fatality that we're looking for?
She had one title defense, and she wants a fucking automatic rematch. Like,
I don't know who Rose fights next. I don't care though.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the follow-up.
Well, isn't that the problem with all the women's divisions? Because everyone knows, not a fan of women's MMA, but top line.
Really?
Yeah, I know, right? Top tier women's MMA is not always terrible. Rose has been in some amazing fights. You know, JJ's been in some good fights. Like, when you look at the top tier, the problem is after you get like 2 or 3 down, like Rose has cleaned up the division. Like,
Rose is gonna fight Yan Shannon or whatever the fuck her name is after she beats whoever the fuck she is fighting next.
So BroHugs, he tweeted after the fight. I saw someone retweet it, and it was like, I don't even know that lady's name, John Doe. It said John or whatever her name is, and it said, "That's it. That's the tweet." And I was like, oh!
She's going to fight either Carla Esparza next or something called Yan Shannon.
When someone says that's it, that's the tweet, like, I can't think of something I hate more. Is there something worse than saying that's it, that's the tweet?
Just BroHugs in general.
Oh, God. That's it. That's the tweet. Like,
man, he's really taking your guys' back a lot. You folk. It's really bad on you guys.
Oh, we've kicked him out of the tribe. He's not in the tribe.
That's what I assumed.
Like, even before he talked, like the beard thing he does. I don't even know how he does that. Like, he shaves like. Who like gets in the mirror and is like, yeah, I'm gonna shave like right here, and then maybe up here a little bit. I don't know how he got to this point of the 3-inch space between his mustache and his chin. I
think you can buy like a beard stencil that has caterpillars built into it. You do a little caterpillar stencil. I don't know. That's got to be it.
Decent.
I really hate humans. Just in general.
A lot of them. Yep.
People are the worst. The worst.
Yeah.
Hate them. Not a fan. Anyway, let's move on to this week's card. This card sucks. This is
it's not
hello,
good.
Andrew. This card, terrible. This is a terrible card. Oh, and also our buddy, I don't know how I'm pronouncing this. WHYO. Joe Biden apparently shit himself on stage, but lucky for him, he wears adult diapers, so he's way ahead of you.
Yeah,
he's dependable. Don't worry.
He is.
Dependable Joe.
What are you expecting when you got a 416-year-old man? Things happen in your body as you get older. It's just part of life. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal. You can remove that. That was too much. I don't want to see Andrew's thing up there forever.
Sean put it up and I took it down because
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh fuck. I'm clicking around.
They don't let me do. Yeah, I don't even have an account. Like I've never logged in to this website. I'm always a guest.
Well, your computer struggles enough just, with video and audio at the same time. Let's not try to get you writing messages as well.
Well,
I made a start before we started the podcast, just to be safe.
I did restart. All right, so let's move on from what was a good card to what is a bad card.
This card's obviously going to deliver, just like the card right before UFC 261 was terrible and delivered.
Yes. I almost fell asleep during that Whittaker. Like by the time we got to the main event, that Whittaker card, I was just done. I was like, I hate everything. I'm so focused on Jake Paul and Triller. Like I can't focus. Yep. So bad. But this card's low key one of the worst cards I've seen in some time. The prelims have no interesting fights on them. None.
When does this start?
Yeah, is this a weird time start or anything like that?
It's in Vegas. How weird could it be?
It's
Sometimes
in Vegas.
It's like fucking noon start times. We've had that before.
Not in Vegas. On Fight Island they did that, but not in Vegas.
No, there was one like 3 weeks ago. That was
a couple weeks ago
in the afternoon.
Really?
Yeah.
Prelims start at 5 Eastern, so it's a fairly normal.
It's regular.
Yeah.
I mean, the main event's interesting, but anyway, we'll jump in. Middleweight division: Andreas Michailidis versus KB Bhullar. Great.
Bhullar.
Brad.
Bhullar.
Well, the screens are on a different way because usually Sean logs on first, so he's in a certain box for me, and it flipped it. But I'll go this way. We'll counter. Oh, there we go.
There.
That's fancy technology right there, folks. New Sean, how's it going? What you got?
Yeah, I don't have much here. The Canadian is not very good. Getting absolutely smoked by Tom Breeze. I mean, Tom Breeze isn't terrible, but he just looked absolutely horrible in that fight. Andy Milonakis should probably take him out here, even though he got absolutely smoked by the mediocre Bukakis last time. I don't want any part of this. I will hopefully we get a highlight reel knockout of just Bhullar getting smoked. I mean, that's probably what's going to happen. But I'd like to just watch this in GIF form because it's not really worth it to watch it in live form.
This card sucks. Brad?
The Canadian is not good.
Surprise.
Getting massacred by Tom Breeze. Breeze was landing everything on him before he knocked him out with a jab. So that's not good. So I definitely think that Michailidis gets it done here. You can throw that bad boy in the microwave for a couple minutes, heat it up, and you got a pre-fight snack going on. So inside the distance for Michailidis, there's not a lot happening here, but I don't trust him. That's a big price to pay on a dude that's not good.
Yeah, not great. Same thing. I think Bhullar's terrible. I mean, this guy's. I'm shocked he's fighting again. Like that seems like a waste of time. But you got to get a roll of those Canadian dumpster fires out, just nonstop.
You know what? He looks like if tall guy defense had to go through the U.S. Canadian exchange rate. So he only got like half of it. So it's tall guy defense, but it's even worse than tall guy defense. Yeah,
I could see that. Yeah. He sucks though. I'm not betting this fight because Andy Milonakis also sucks. He's also bad. I mean, Bukaki Party just had his way with him, so you can't do that.
Okay, that was a weird ass stop. I was on the modest Bukaki in that fight. That was a weird stoppage with him like falling out the cage door and all that stuff.
Hey, he lost. He lost.
You cashed the ticket, Brad.
He was beating him up pretty good though. Before that,
It was more competitive than you think, which means that he's
great.
absolutely going to smash Bhullar.
Yes, probably. But I don't know how I could bet on this fella. But who knows? I've been having a real tough time figuring bets for this card. I harder than normal for sure. So we'll see. Featherweight division: Luke Sanders, Felipe Corrales. Time for weird. The hometown hero in Nashville, Tennessee, Luke Sanders. News, Sean?
As with most Luke the Mook Sanders fights, when he's fighting lower level competition, he should win. He has the skills. He throws nice volume, and then he just decides to just absolutely gift fights to shitty fighters. He might do it here. He shouldn't. He is good enough to beat this guy, but I have learned one thing in betting MMA, and that is to not trust Luke the Mook Sanders, even against shitty competition. So I will watch. I will hope for grand mookiness in this fight, and we will get another beautiful event of Luke the Mook Sanders, getting choked out in the third round after easily winning the first two.
He's a hometown hero. You gotta. I actually one of the last times I flew since the pandemic, it was last January. He sat like 3 rows behind me on a plane. Bigger than expected. He was like Oppo Jim Miller.
Was he crying about breaking up with Becky Lynch the whole time?
I don't know who that is, but he was not
someone who makes a lot more money than he does and doesn't take the beatings and the mookiness that he does.
He was I was flying to Raleigh. We were actually going to the UFC fights, and he was there to corner who's that really dumb guy? He got knocked out by Herbert Burns that fight. Really, he just got knocked out.
Nate Landwehr.
Yes. He was there to corner
the mookiness is transferable. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So that's why he was on the plane flying to Raleigh. This is perfect. Brad, you betting Luke here? Is it time?
If this gets to plus money, which I think it might, no, I think it's gone from minus 200 down to minus 135, and we're only on Wednesday night. This seems like the popular dog for people to bet on, but this guy is not good.
Terrible.
He was getting smoked by Montel Jackson on the feet. He gets out wrestled by everybody. Like, his only attribute is that he doesn't go away. He seems to be pretty tough, and that might actually be enough for him to just stick around long enough for Mook Sanders to do something stupid and get himself submitted. So that's why I need plus money to bet it. But Mook Sanders is much better than this guy. Much better.
Well, I think it's two things that are in Corrales' favor, despite being just god awful, right? It's his toughness. He's a guy. All you need to beat Luke Sanders. Be tough where you don't get, because Sanders is going to land bombs on him like he does.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably going to drop him. But if he survives, we're going to see it. Second round, third round. He's going to give the guy his neck. It just depends, can he finish it? Because Luke is going to give him a neck. He's gonna shoot like an empty shot right in there, hand him the neck, and see if he takes it. But Corrales is not good. He's not even close to good. If it wasn't for Luke just every time he can finding a way to lose, this would be an absolute steal of a price. But man, He loves losing. He does. So if the line moves like Brad said and gets minus 110, minus 120, I might have to do it, but I'm not laying minus 140, minus 150. There's just no way. All right, women's strawweight division, Loma Lookboonmee. That wasn't even a joke. I think that's it. Oh, there you go. Versus Sam Hughes, who I have never heard of. You, Sean.
She has the prestige, Sam Hughes, of being the
This is a
only
women's fight?
lady to be finished. What's that?
I did not know this was a women's fight. You kind of threw me off there.
It's very confusing because it's actually pronounced Lookboonmee.
Boy, me.
Well, the first names
Correct.
gave me no indicators. So
No.
then I was just going off a coin flip. And I guessed wrong.
You failed. Sam Hughes has the prestige of getting finished by TKO from Tecia Torres. Tecia Torres has finished 0 people other than Sam Hughes by TKO in her 17-fight career.
Now I know.
Not a good look.
It was a cut. It was a cut.
But it was
Just
a
like
big
Fair enough. You're still getting hit enough that you're
Well-
somehow the pillow fist somehow opened up a cut on your head and blood came out when you
It
were
was a
fighting
cut.
Tecia
That was
fucking
a-
Torres.
beating. She beat
That was an
Oh, yeah.
absolute stomping.
the cut.
She did not
Everybody
belong.
lost.
She did not belong in there.
No.
No. So many people lost money, including myself, of betting
On the
Torres
over?
by decision.
No.
Or I bet decision, of course, because that's what Tecia Torres does. Boomy, fuck you, should be able to light this chick up, but there's no chance in hell of me laying minus, what is it now?
400.
350, 380 on a fairly low level women's MMA fight. No thanks.
Yeah, Brad.
The little 12-year-old Thai boy can't, like, first of all, she is a weight class that doesn't even exist in the UFC.
Adam.
Has
95 pounds?
yeah, exactly. Can't wrestle. People want to say that she can get back to her feet, but I'm not sure if she can in this fight against somebody much bigger who can, like, not really grapple, but almost grapple a little bit. This price is kind of wild to me. It's very much like striker versus grappler, and in low level, low weight women's MMA fighters, I am going to favor the grappler because the striker doesn't have enough on their strikes to keep the grappler at bay. Ever. That's just how it happens. She's going to be able to close the distance. I guess that Boomy Fuck You has a good Muay Thai clinch, because that's like one of the only things that she does. But it's not going to matter when the other person can just power through it. So I'm taking the plus 300 here, and it's not a big bet because this is a terrible fight. But man, this line is just a little bit too big considering the competition they've both faced and how not good both of them are.
Lance, you think Thug Rose is a very, very bad nickname for Rose Namajunas? Sam Hughes' nickname is Sam Page.
It's excellent. It's a play on words.
But it does not translate
Ferocious
whatsoever.
Brett, I don't know how you're gonna bet on a chick that's just got knocked out and beat up by Tecia Torres against someone who's a striker.
It was a cut.
The cut was
Does not matter.
Thousands of death blows. She made Tecia Torres look like the most brutal striker out there. Like it was a beating. Yeah. I'm not betting this fight. That's just not something.
But Tecia Torres has good takedown defense because she had to like stay away from BroHugs all those years. So
yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sprawl as well. The sprawl is tight. Sprawl is tight.
That was definitely a believable story that he told us. People like follow this guy and like take him serious. He printed out fake tickets and tried to sneak into the lower section because he wanted to save $20. And then he moved like 6 times and he kept DMing us saying, "Hey, I'm here. I'm here." Oh man, that's a guy. That's a thing. All right.
The floor tickets weren't even that expensive. They were like $300.
No, they were way cheaper. They were like 175.
Oh, there you go.
It was Nashville. It was super cheap. It was like 175 for floor seats, and that was just out of his price range.
Dude's
So he
keeping
decided
bag
to-
water and sealing his wine bottles with saran wrap, and you're asking him to spend $175 on floor tickets to the UFC.
I believe
Calm down.
I believe he went by himself, if I
Yeah.
recall.
Yeah.
Which is, I've never went to a sporting event by myself. Maybe one day.
I have.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I have. I've gone to hockey games by myself.
Mm-mm. I go to
Took
movies
an
by myself. I don't mind
I
going
took
to
an edible and went to a Raptors game one time. That was incredible.
There we go.
People always think I'm weird that I don't mind going to movies by myself. What a perfect event to go by yourself. You sit there in silence the whole time. How does going to the movies with somebody enhance your experience when you just sit there in silence for the length of the movie? It doesn't make any sense. All they can do is steal your popcorn. I don't get it. Anyway, by the way, division, Kai Kamaka, TJ Brown, bad. This is a bad fight. This is really bad. Kai Kamaka is a striker who has no career knockouts. You, Sean?
That's a bad look. When the thing that you would excel at, you have no finishes via that. Like
None.
some guy is like, I'm a grappler, man. I got my purple belt. You fucking better have a fucking sub on the regional scene. This guy has like no finishes. Like, what are we doing here?
How did he get to the UFC with no finishes even on the regional scene? That's almost unheard of.
You got to be special to not be able to finish some of these regional fighters and somehow make it to the UFC. Like that just doesn't add up. I don't know what the fuck is going on there. I got nothing on these. This is going to be a terrible fight. I'll pick the dog in Toutmaster, which it seems like that is TJ Brown allegedly.
It's so bad. TJ Brown is so bad. Brad?
TJ Brown is very bad. He's the one that got guillotined from side control against Jordan Griffin, right?
Yeah.
That's a thing that happened. Yeah, like you look through his record. 2018, he lost in the first round. He got knocked out by 13-16 Cody Carrillo. That's not good. He's got a bunch of other bad, like, first-round losses on his record. I know that Kai Kamaka has no finishes. If he is ever going to finish anyone, it is TJ Brown. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, but I don't think Brown is going to be able to get takedowns on him that easily and win rounds and get a submission. So I favor Kamaka here, but I don't want to bet it.
Yeah, the weird thing is when you watch Kamaka fight, like, he's shown some decent hands. Like, I think it was early in the fight versus Tony Kelly, I think, and like his hands look great in that first round. Like he looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
It makes no sense that he doesn't have any finishes, at least in the regional scene. With his hands look decent. Like he looks like he has decent hands at times. He does.
And he's got some muscles too.
He's big. You know, for that weight class, he's pretty big. He's decent boxing, good hands. No finishes make sense, and his gas tank is not good. Like I think what would keep me away from him in this fight is like I could see him fading and losing in this fight as well. It's minus. There's a lot of these fights where it's like him and Luke Sanders. The line's like minus 140, minus 150. Where if this did drop and we got to a round to pick him, I would take Kamaka because I do think he's the more talented fighter. TJ Brown sucks. He's real bad. But at minus 150, I don't see how you can do this. But I will pick Kamaka, so there's some intense line movement. We'll look. Featherweight division, Mowgli taking on JPP. This guy.
Did you
Huh?
say Mowgli?
Mowgli.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fun thing about this is I just told you how shitty Kai Kamaka was. Yet I am betting a guy that just beat him in his only UFC win. I think this is just a matchup that Pearce can do all right in. I've bet Mowgli in the past. I bet him against James. James is very fraudulent. He won against, he got lucky against Frank Camacho, and then he's rode that to 3 consecutive losses. I think Pearce can get Benítez down. Benítez has pretty piss poor takedown defense, and Pearce has some heavy hands. He puts a pace on people, throws decent strikes, and I think he can beat on Benítez. I got him. I got Pearce money line plus 175 for a unit, and I sprinkled a half unit on inside the distance because that seems to be the way that he likes to win fights at plus 324.
Brad.
Yeah, I'm very much in agreement with Sean here. I have the same bet. I think we probably both got it at the same book. Plus 175 on Pearce. Man, Benítez just can't wrestle. Everything that comes out in interviews about him and stuff is like, oh, he kicks so hard, and man, he really kicks hard. He kicks harder than Luke Rockhold. Man, he kicks so hard. But his kicks never actually do anything in real fights. So I don't care about that. He can't wrestle. Pearce throws a shitload of volume, and he is willing to wrestle. We saw him wrestle in his last fight. And even when he gets on the ground, he just keeps throwing ground and pound. He just keeps doing stuff. And I think that he's going to win this, even if he doesn't get the stoppage on Benítez. I think he's going to win this based on takedowns and volume. So I like Pearce. I wouldn't be shocked if he he's a plus 175 underdog. I wouldn't be shocked if he gets knocked out by something. Joe Lozon knocked him out not so long ago. But first round, Joey fucking Lozon in Boston, that's a different beast than Mukli Benítez in Las Vegas in front of no crowd. So I like JSP here, the biased namesake of not Canada.
Man, I look at this guy and I couldn't bet on him. I just look at him. Like, I could beat this guy up, Like, you just look at this guy, like, if I ran into him, like, I think I could hold my own with a guy like this.
Would.
I mean, I feel like I could take him down.
You up, sir.
I feel like I could take. Hey, look at. I think you just grab his arm and just snap her right there. Like, he can't deal with these. He's not as big as me.
Do you see how sad Mugli's midsection is?
It's not a good look.
Pretty.
Maybe he's jacked for this fight. He put on some pandemic weight like everyone else did.
He's dropping down to 145 for this one.
Ooh, that's good. Ooh. That's good.
That's either good or he's going to have even less of a chin and even less cardio.
His chin's not great. What doesn't go in this fight? I feel like this is a likely.
I think that's a pretty good angle. I think no matter who wins, it's probably inside.
It doesn't go
it's
as
a 1.5. Yeah, that's not great.
Yeah.
Under 2.5 is minus 145. That's not terrible.
I don't mind. Yeah, I don't know. Pearce TKO plus 420 sounds higher than I would think.
Yeah.
If you were going to bet on him. I don't think he's going to win a decision. No. I think he's going to finish. Benítez likes getting finished when he loses. It's kind of he enjoys that. So yeah,
true.
I don't know.
Let's hope so.
And Pearce likes getting finished when he loses. So
I think Benítez is more likely to get a finish than Pearce in this one. I feel like, yes, the leg kicks are annoying and everything, but he doesn't throw those lame like calf, like he throws like real like man shit leg kicks at least.
Yeah, he's trying to kick through your liver.
Yeah, he has some good kicks, and Pearce is he's built like Lookboonmee or whatever that fellow's name was. I don't know. I know you guys all love Pearce. I think Wes likes Pearce as well, but I think this is Benítez. I think Pearce sucks. I think he's a trash can. So leading Benítez, I don't know if I'll bet it because I really don't like trusting that fella. All right, women's strawweight division, Ronda Markos, who's lost like 17 in a row at this point, versus Luana Pinheiro. I don't know who that is. New Sean. Brad's betting on this
she's only lost 4 of the last 5 Lance. And her wins against Ashley Yoder. Yeah, not good. That being said, this chick that's coming in is pretty hyped up. I don't know if she's actually good or not.
She's not.
She's not.
Not
And
bad looking.
Yeah,
it's certain time in certain scenarios.
True. There's one very nice picture.
Yes.
The rest of it, I'm just like, eh.
Oh, I only saw one. It was the one that
That's all you need to see, Lance. Don't look at any other ones.
No, I mean, I won't see her again. I'm not going to watch the fight.
Fair. So yeah, I mean, in this fight, like, I know Markos is not good, and she's done some really stupid shit, like diving into Mackenzie Dern's guard and shit like that. This chick has a bunch of sub wins. I would hope that maybe she's learned her lesson. Probably hasn't. I don't know if she's good enough to sub Randa Markos. She's done decently well at not getting subbed against people that aren't amazing at jiu-jitsu. I just took Go's decision at minus 165 for a unit. I laid it. A lot of these times, these hyped up chicks that are decent looking, look at who she's fought. They're absolute trash cans. So I kind of see a 15-minute fight. I'm picking Markos to win. I'm not going to bet it. I think it's going to be a fairly close fight. So I'll leave it at that.
Brad?
Yeah, this Luana's best win is Stephanie Frosto, who is Zoila Frosto's sister.
Sister.
Zoila Frosto is shitty to begin with. And then her shitty sister, who doesn't even want to fight MMA, and you can tell if you've ever watched any of her fights, that is this girl's best win.
I mean, just look at her Sherdog picture. I mean, she does not want to be there.
Exactly. So, Randa Markos, not good. 500 career record, which is becoming very, very common in UFC's women's fights. But the fights that she's lost in her UFC career, in her entire career, really, all way better than Luana Pinheiro. I think she can probably get some takedowns, not get subbed. This isn't Mackenzie Dern that she's fighting. And this fight is going to go to decision because it's a Randa Markos fight. So I like Sean's bet there. I posted that one in the chat a while ago when it came out. But I just took Markos straight. I got plus 155 on her. And like low-level women's MMA, take the dog. We've been here before.
Yep. I get it. I understand where you're coming from. Nah. Markos is so bad. She's getting worse every time I see her fight. She keeps just getting worse every time you watch her. She looked so bad. She looked like she had never fought before in that last fight. She was so bad, just overmatched, terrible, bad at every aspect of MMA. She's old as shit now. And she just
That was against Lance. I tried to tell you that Japanese chick she fought in her last fight could actually wrestle.
Yep.
I still don't believe it. Well, she out-wrestled a Canadian. Congratulations.
She went to the Olympics. She got like a silver medal in the Olympics.
The Olympics were canceled, Brad. Anyway, I'm not gonna bet on this fight. Next fight, Poliano Botelho versus Luana Carolina. Back to back. I mean, Fook.
This one's so one ending off the prelims to convince people to watch the main card, and then one starting the main card.
Man, that's not a good look. This card, top to bottom, really terrible. Sean, you got anything here? I assume no.
Their thoughts are these chicks are terrible at fighting, but they're not terrible looking for fighters. So, like, I guess it's better than the alternative of just having shitty fights that look terrible. So they might as well have one of those things. This is another case. These they're not good. Luana Carolina losing to Ariana Lipski. Ooh, that's bad. Finished. Knee bar.
Subbed.
That was. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was like where she was like, "Oh, there's a leg here. I'm just gonna grab it."
That was bad.
Such low level. It's horrible. I did not look into this fight. It is not worth it. I will pick Botelho. Her win against Lauren Murphy, I guess, isn't absolutely horrendous.
Lauren Murphy might win the belt.
Canadian.
Yeah, Lauren Murphy's going to be next in line.
Yeah,
for Shevchenko.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't.
Oh
care.
No, she beat Lauren Mueller. Sean.
Mueller,
come
not
on.
Murphy. My bad.
Jeez.
My bad. Still terrible.
Really, but what's the difference?
I don't know.
One is much worse. One is much worse. The one that she beat, much worse. Somehow.
Brad, you good here?
So this is just like, how can I not go on a dog walk between the Randa Markos fight starting and this fight finishing? Plus all of like the end of the prelims, plus the intro to the main card.
And the next
I don't even know what the next fight is. We're going women's MMA. I've got like a 90-minute dog walk in there, Lance. I don't even need the next fight.
Women's MMA, Georgian snooze machine.
Oh. Ooh.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not a good three fight run right there.
Depending on how vigorous the dog walk is, I might get back in time for the Georgian snooze machine, take a little nap, and then be ready to go for the rest of the card.
Which is also terrible. All right, we'll move on to this next fight. We have in the bantamweight division, Merab Dvalishvili, otherwise known as the Georgian snooze machine, taking on Cody Stamann. News, Sean?
I got bad news for people who hate the Georgian snooze machine. The Georgian snooze machine is going to be good enough in this fight. There is going to come a point where he does fight somebody good enough that has decent enough takedown defense and decent enough offense on the feet that will put him in give him some problems. I don't think Cody Stamann is that guy. Stamann gets taken down by much shittier wrestlers than him. Stamann got taken down by
Aljo?
Ryan Kelleher.
Did he get taken
Jimmy
down?
Rivera, Alejandro Perez.
Boom Boom's a great wrestler.
Tom Duquesnoy.
He won a
Ryan Caraway. He's French. The takedowns were in a different language, so those don't count.
He won most of those fights, though.
Yes, he did.
He did win those fights, but he did get taken down by some shitty guys, and he's going to get taken down a shit ton of times because the Georgian snooze machine cannot hold anybody down. Yeah. But he is going to tire out Stamann. Stamann's finally cutting back down to 135. Supposedly a big podcast that has a much bigger audience than ours somehow does not know that Cody Stamann fought at 135 like a billion fucking
for
times
like his whole career.
Yeah, his whole career, and then COVID comes and he fights a bunch of blown up 35ers because it's COVID times at 45. It doesn't matter.
You guys listen to podcasts?
Someone pointed it out to me.
Yes, I get stuff sent to me. No, I don't even think BroHugs is dumb enough to make that mistake. Snooze machine is going to take Stamann down a billion times, and Stamann's going to get tired, and Snooze machine is going to win a wide decision. I got him in a 3-unit parlay.
Brad?
I want to disagree. I think that Stamann is probably the most physical guy that the Snooze machine has fought in his UFC career. He fought Dodson, so maybe not the best guy that he's fought in his career, but he is extremely good at not controlling people in terms of like actually getting them down and holding them down, but getting them into a boring grappling match. So I can see that happening here, where he just takes Stamann down, Stamann gets back up, he takes him down again, he gets back up, he holds him in the clinch for a while. It's really bad and really awful to watch. And Stamann's not the type of guy that has enough power that he's going to be able to finish this fight. So I think it's probably going to be a snooze machine decision. You just set that button for 15 minutes and you're good to go with the snooze machine. So you know how that works.
I just can't help myself. I'm betting Stamann. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I can talk myself into anything, as you know.
Oh, absolutely. That's what MMA betting's all about.
Merab can't. To me, the key. I don't think Stamann is going to gas out for one. I don't see that angle.
But he's cutting down to 135 for the first time. I mean, he didn't fight like Aljo at 135 or anything like that.
I was at 155 actually. Well, I think it's Stamann has a good get-up game. When he has gotten taken down, he's got to take out the Aljo fight at 170. That doesn't count. He does get up pretty well. And Merab is one of the worst. Merab is not a good grappler. He is good at getting takedowns.
Yes.
Difference. He can get a takedown. Like, he would not be good at turning guys in freestyle. Like, that's not where he would shine. I think Stamann I think he's going to get taken out a little bit, but I think he gets up so quick. And I don't see the gas being an issue. And I think on the feet, I think Stamann's way better striking. And Stamann's going to be in his face. He's going to throw punches. He is going to be more physical than a lot of the guys Merab has faced. And like you said, it's not better, but more physical. And Stamann's going to be in this fight. He is going to be in his face in this fight, getting up quick. And I think his striking can outpoint the bullshit takedowns where Merab will literally land takedowns and guy will get up so quick he doesn't have time to throw a punch. Like
even if the guy
held
the guy down, he wouldn't throw a punch. So
true. You really wouldn't know a difference. Same strike numbers. So I think it's Stamann it's over 2-1 now. Last time I looked. I think Stamann's worth a stab there.
Getting up there. And
we'll see.
Judges have been trending more towards damage as opposed to control and takedowns lately. So the snooze machine's got that going against them.
Yeah, it's worth a stab. All right, middleweight division, Sean Strickland, Krzysztof Jotko. I hate that guy. You, Sean?
Just generally, or did he beat one of your fighters? It doesn't look like he's beat any of your fighters, so he's just terrible. He's just nothing. He has boring fights.
Yes, he's boring fights. He's very ugly. He's not an attractive man. And people think he's good.
He's not.
Yes, people think he's. Do you remember, like, before he got beat a few times? Like, people thought he was, like, real good. Like, it was, like, a while ago. Like, he started his UFC career and he won a bunch of fights in a row versus just, like, shit can city. And everyone thought this guy was good. And now he's
beating Michailidis will get a hype train behind you. That's for sure.
Terrible. I think I bet against him in all those fights he lost after that. And now he's put together a few wins versus absolute trash cans again. And I think we're getting a decent bettable line here.
Yeah, he won some fights and they were some pretty shitty fights. Some of them were fairly close and could have went either way. Strickland since kind of going up to 85 has looked pretty damn good. Obviously beating the shit out of Jack Marshman is nothing special. I mean, that guy is a nothing, but I was really impressed with him beating Brendan Allen and in the way he did it. Dude throws a lot of volume. He can mix in some takedowns if he needs to. I don't think he'll get any against Jotko because Jotko does have pretty good takedown defense, but I think on the feet there's going to be a pretty big big advantage for Sean Strickland in the technique and just the volume. And Jotko is just one of those guys that just tries to have the most boring fight ever. It's not going to be good. I like Strickland in this fight to win a really wide decision or maybe even grab a late finish. I got him in that snooze machine parlay, that 3-unit for plus 103.
Brad?
Yes, Strickland is probably the most confident parlay piece that I have on this card.
The only one.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing to parlay him with. I probably should have parlayed them with like Eddie Alvarez because apparently he's fighting on 1 tonight against somebody I've never heard of. So that's good. But yeah, Strickland is going to throw straight punches. He might get stalled out in the clinch for periods of time in this fight because that's what Jotko does. But he's just better everywhere. Better striker, better on the ground. I think he's the better wrestler too. Like I said, Jotko might have those moments where he stalls him in the clinch, but I don't think Jotko brings anything else to this fight. He's not good. He hasn't been good for a while, and I think Strickland's a little bit better now that he got into that motorcycle accident. He's been imbued with the spirit of Frank Mir as a heavyweight champion, and he's ready to not let people tread on him, right?
Yeah, don't tread on me. Don't do it. I got a massage yesterday, and this lady did too much. I was like screaming in pain inside. She was just too much on the neck.
Was she chuckling while she did it, though?
I don't know. I was trying to mentally prepare myself for this horrible pain. I'm not into the deep tissue type massages. I want to, feel good, not.
You're more of a rub and tug guy.
Yeah, No, this was just a very intense neck massage. It's a little sore.
Did you guys see what happened on one just now? Are you watching that in the background?
No.
The Rug he basically just like fainted at the end of round 2 of his fight.
That's how gassed he was?
He was so gassed that he just fell over and they just stopped the fight. The other guy won.
Eddie won?
TKO.
Was that the Eddie fight?
No, Eddie. I think Eddie's coming up next. I don't know the order. What's going on here? It's chaos.
Can't get into one. It's always a good guy versus a bad guy.
It's like the Bellator prelims.
Yeah, there are two guys I've never heard of. It's one of the two. I like Sean Strickland here. I don't think there's much to add. Jotko sucks. He just stalls. Not very good. Never been good. And Strickland's looked good. Brendan Allen to me he's a solid fucking dude. Like Brendan Allen's gonna beat a lot of guys in that division. He is a very, very skilled fighter. And Strickland made it look pretty easy. I'm sold on Strickland. I think this is actually a pretty big step down for him here. So I think Strickland cruises. All right.
Might just lay it.
No, don't do that.
Be a pussy.
Light heavyweight Ian Cuțelaba versus Jacoby. Hey, Sean?
Yeah, I think this is a fairly close fight. Cuțelaba getting absolutely smashed last time out. And the fight before, I mean, he did get clipped a bunch of times. I know it was a dumb stoppage by the ref, but he was on his way to getting absolutely flatlined. I know Jacoby has not looked good or looked great against some very mediocre guys, but I just don't know what Cuțelaba has left in him. There's a big number on Jacoby inside the distance. I think he can clip Cuțelaba, get him out of there. Plus 220.
Clip Cuțelaba? Isn't that like vaginal mutilation?
Yeah, you can't do that.
No, it's not allowed.
It's frowned upon, but this is the UFC, so it's right in the wheelhouse. So I put a unit on Jacoby inside the distance at plus 220.
Brad?
Yeah, Sean's talking about a big line here. The big line that I'm looking at is that Dustin Jacoby still cannot wrestle. We've never seen any proof that he can wrestle. And Cuțelaba, he's willing to wrestle against better strikers. He wrestled against Khalil Rountree. There was somebody earlier in his career that he wrestled against a bunch, and he gets like 4, 5, 6 takedowns against these guys. I think he can wrestle Dustin Jacoby. And I haven't seen anything from Jacoby to indicate that he would be able to stop that wrestling. But also, like, Cuțelaba doesn't have a submission game. So I'm looking at the decision prop.
Oh, goodness.
We got, like, plus 715 on Cuțelaba by decision. That's the one. That's the ticket. I also put a little bet on the over 1.5 here because it was at plus 125. It was very early after it opened. It is long gone. But yeah, I think this goes a little bit of time, and I think that there are some takedowns involved, but I don't trust this guy at all. None of these are like big bets or real bets. But yeah, I think that Jacoby gets out wrestled a bit, and he did not look good in his last fight against a guy who is not good in Max Grishin.
Yeah, the most unimpressive couple wins in a row for Jacoby. I know he finished Ledet, but he was actually getting hit in the face pretty good even before he get that finish versus Ledet. And then the Maxim Grishin fight clearly lost that fight. I bet on Jacoby.
So did I.
was happy he received the decision, but he lost that fight. He clearly lost that fight. And then if you look at Cuțelaba, he's lost he's beaten who he is supposed to, and he has lost to who he is supposed to. Very easy. He lost to Serkinov back before Serkinov was completely washed. He lost to Cannonier, garage weight champion, and then he lost to Ankalev twice. He's beaten everyone else he's faced because they're not as good as those guys. Jacoby seems I don't know, like he has not impressed me. He's a little bit older than he was earlier. I know his striking is a little bit better, but he has not looked good. He hasn't looked good at all since he's gotten back in the UFC. And this line, what was down like -130? I think I saw earlier. Like I think our boy Cuțelaba is the play here. So I really like him in this fight actually. So I'm gonna be betting him. All right, featherweight division, Cub Swanson, Giga. Nishan?
This will come as no surprise. I still don't think Giga is good. I haven't lost that much money fading him because
the matchmaking's been so bad.
Yeah, the matchup, he's had a couple scheduled fights against guys that I would probably would have faded him, but then they fell apart, and then he ends up getting these late notice absolute tomato cans that of course he crushes. Sometimes he doesn't finish. Most of the time he doesn't finish. The last guy out was fucking horrible, so obviously he finished him. Gigas just doesn't seem that good. Like he's supposed to be a striker, and he's using little ass gloves compared to kickboxing gloves, and he does not seem to have power. Maybe the guys that he's fighting have just unbelievable chins, but I really don't believe that. Cub pretty impressed me quite a bit last time out against Daniel Pineda. I was on Pineda there. Him finishing Pineda and the way he did it, that was pretty nasty. Cub is getting old. He is 37. He has a shit ton of fights. He's taken some damage. We've wrote him off a couple times already. But really, I mean, he's like Lance has talked about with Cuțelaba. He's lost who he probably should have lost to, and he beats who he should beat. I think he should beat Giga here. There's a lot of unknowns about Giga. Guys that he has fought have not really pressed him on his takedown defense. I know Cub doesn't have an amazing takedown game, but he's a pretty seasoned vet. I think he can get some crafty takedowns, and then we'll see what Giga really has on the ground. The age is concerning. I did only take it for a unit. It was plus 176 earlier this week. It's come way down. I would probably pass on it at this point, but I'll be happy with the decent plus money on Cub, and maybe Giga will prove me wrong, but I want to see it against somebody that has a little bit of skill.
Brett, I was laughing at this notification I got. It says Kirill Grishenko lands late throat punch at end of second round to hand Rug his first loss. MMA.
All right. Yep.
Isn't that banned?
What
the old throat
late,
punch?
Not in one. Like, not in one.
That's all you
Oh, shit.
So I don't normally look up the UFC rankings because they're dog shit and completely useless. But I looked them up because I wanted to be like, oh, has Cub ever lost to somebody like outside of the top 10? And when I looked them up, I saw that Giga is ranked ahead of Cub in the featherweight rankings because he's got excellent wins against the likes of whatever a Jamie Simmons is, Omar Morales, Erwin Rivera Shyster, aka the Murderer, Jamal Emmers, Brandon Davis.
Killers.
These,
what you're saying.
yeah, just
Murderers.
top of the line. Absolutely. Yeah. But the one thing that I posted earlier this week was prior to his fight against Jamie Simmons, where he actually got a finish, the guys that he finished were combined like 3-56 in their MMA careers when he fought them. So he has been fighting the scrubbiest of the scrubs. And then he comes to the UFC and he has competitive fights against guys that, given his hype and given the fact that he is now ranked 14th in the featherweight division, he should probably be crushing these guys. And he's having competitive fights with them. So now he's taking a massive step up in competition. He's fighting a guy who has only lost to top 10 competition throughout his entire career. Has always been just like 1 or 2 fights away from title contention. Obviously, that's kind of out of the picture now, given how old he is. But Cub has fought way better guys than this, beaten way better guys than this, and I think he finds a way to do it again. I think if it stays on the feet, obviously there's a little bit of danger for him. I don't think it's that much danger because I don't think Giga is as dangerous as people want to make him seem. And if this hits the ground, this guy got subbed by Austin Springer a couple of years ago. And I'm not sure if you guys remember what happened when Austin Springer, I can't even remember who it was, a UFC fight or a Contender Series fight recently. But he came into the organization and he looked bad.
I think it was
very bad. And that guy subbed Giga. So I took a little shot on Cubby by Subby at plus 1,000. I think that's good. It rhymes. It feels like it should hit. And then I've got to play on Cub at plus 170. Obviously, that line's been smoked at this point. But, yeah, that's even if it was where it is now, I would still bet Cub.
Springer got subbed in the first round by Bruce Leroy.
Yeah. It was really
there you go.
It was like he had never fought before, too. I like Cub here. You know, when you think of this matchup, this striker, he has no power, whatever. And versus Cub, and you kind of think he's older. I'm worried about Cub getting caught. You know when the last time Cub got knocked out was? Aldo, WEC.
Yeah, one of the greatest knockouts
highlight.
That
highlight reel.
This guy has one of the most one of the greatest chins you'll ever see. I think that was his only career. That's the only time in his career he's been knocked out. So he has 38 fights. He's been knocked out once, and it was a crazy flying knee forever.
Double flying knee.
Cub likes to quit when you put your hands around his neck. He's not a fan of being choked. He's not into that kind of thing. He will quit if you choke him. Gig's not going to do that. I think I don't think Cub is completely like dead in the water on the feet. No. Gig is going to be better in space. I think if they're close together against the cage, clinching, working in tight, working body work and stuff, I think Cub can actually win some exchanges on the feet. But I think we're going to see clinch takedowns by Cub Swanson here. I think it's going to be bullying him, pushing against the cage, dragging him to the ground, working his ground and pound. Cub is a way better mixed martial artist, and it wouldn't shock me if Cub got some kind of ground and pound finish or submission finish in this fight, to tell you the truth. I think Giga is one-dimensional, and the problem with its dimension is it doesn't come with power. So it's kind of like we talked about with Kamaka, where he's a striker with no power. Well, he's facing bums in the prelims. This is, Cub, same thing we talked about a couple times. He's only lost to killers, right? Like he hasn't been, even recently at the age of 37, he's been beating who he was supposed to, and even pulled some upsets. I think most people thought Daniel Pinheiro was going to kind of put him out there. And Cub ate some shots. Cub ate some fucking death blows in that. Like, he was badly hurt, came back. His cardio's still not horrible. And I think Cub's the more well-rounded, better fighter. And I think even at the age of 37, he can win this fight, and we're getting plus money. So this is going to be Munich. And because we had no consensus tonight, Sean, you're more than welcome to piggyback onto the Munich train tonight.
Hell yeah.
That's right.
And then we go to the main event. I actually like this main event. I think this is a very solid main event for a free card, as we has Dom Reyes versus a legit psychopath. You, Sean?
This guy's awesome.
You're a psychopath.
Yeah. There's some interesting things going on on TNT. I don't know if anybody else is watching.
What's happening?
You should see it pretty soon. Yeah, Yuri is a crazy man. What's that?
Did Eddie get disqualified again?
I don't know if he's going to get DQ'd.
Oh my God, what happened? What is wrong with this guy? What did he do?
He got clipped. This guy looked like he was fucking him up, throwing them calf kicks.
Is Eddie talking about how COVID's a hoax?
Right now he is.
This is what happens, man. Eddie thinks
COVID consciousness is a hoax.
I just put it on. He's getting beat up pretty good here. This is satisfying.
Yeah. Never a bad thing. Yeah, Yuri is a psychopath. His offense is pretty nasty. His defense a little less desirable. It's hard to know. Dominic Reyes looks so fucking bad against Jan Blachowicz. That is to be hyped up after going to a close decision against John Jones and then just falling that flat in a title fight is not a good look. I don't know if it was a COVID thing. I mean, maybe he was training like shit, but not a good look. Blachowicz just baffled him with his offense. I think Yuri could do that as well. Reyes is there to be hit, and Yuri does throw some heat. So I like Yuri to get Reyes out of there early. If he doesn't, it gets a bit sketchier. Reyes is I think, the better athlete, probably the better conditioned fighter. So if Yuri doesn't get him out of there early, it does get sketchy, but I do think he gets him out of there. I took Yuri inside the distance at plus 115. I think he gets him out of there.
Brad?
Yeah, I'm not sure about agreeing that Reyes is the better athlete. Jay said he was a good athlete, so it immediately thinks that he's not.
Well, baseball players aren't really athletes, right?
It was the Jersey cooler. It's the Florida freezer, Lance.
Yeah, get it right.
He had to upgrade when he moved down south. Mm-hmm. I think that there's going to be collisions in this fight. And there is certainly a possibility that in one of those collisions, Reyes is a pretty decent counterpuncher. I could see him landing something silly and putting Yuri out. We've seen Yuri get knocked out before in Risen and stuff like that. So that's not going to shock me. But I just think that the fact that he has this constant offense, I don't think that Reyes is going to like that. I think he can react to, and counter one-off shots. I don't think that constant pressure is going to be something that he deals with well. And Yuri does it from such weird angles. And his offense is not textbook at all. His defense is almost non-existent. But the fact that he's doing it from ducking in from the side and just throwing all sorts of crazy constant combinations, I think that's going to get to Reyes. I don't think that Reyes has the greatest chin. And I think he's still being overrated by the fact that he fought a low volume competitive fight with John Jones. And John Jones has had a bunch of those fights lately. Reyes was the beneficiary of one of them, and I think he has been quite overrated ever since. So I'm on Yuri. I got a bet on him straight. I think it was at plus 137, something like that. You can probably get better lines out there now. I think I got a shitty one in that particular case because I'm looking right now and there's minus 125 out there. But yeah, I like Yuri. I think he probably gets him out of there. I think it's probably relatively early, but not really sure. I think he can keep up the pace in this one, even if he doesn't get the takedown or the knockout early.
Yeah, I'm on the other side of this one. I think if anyone's overrated because of a performance, it's Yuri. I think it's the opposite. We saw him win this freak flash knockout after kind of getting tagged early. If you remember that fight, Volkan was winning that fight pretty handily up until towards the end of right before the knockout, and that big shot landed. Volkan was winning that fight, and I actually don't think all that much of Volkan Ozdemir. I feel like he had a good run and he landed some shots, but I've never thought he was this great fighter, this top level, top 5 type fighter. And Yuri landed a punch and good for him, but the guy's a moron. He does stupid stuff, and it's not just like the showboating. He puts himself in positions where if someone is a good striker, a good counter striker, they can put him out. Reyes is both those things, and Reyes might be a little overrated from the John fight, but I think everyone's kind of past that now after he got slept. And I think him as an underdog to Yuri, if I would have told you a year ago that Reyes would be an underdog to Yuri, you would have said I was fucking insane. And has that much changed since then? Jan's been great. Jan has been fucking good. Yuri hasn't fought, in a while. He's been off for a good bit as well. And I think he's gonna win the fight. I think he's gonna land something because Yuri's doing something done, overexposed himself. He has no defense. Reyes does fight pretty long. He has pretty good power. He's pretty sneaky with his counters. And I think he's just gonna win this fight. And I think at plus money we're getting some value here. So I do like Dominic Reyes here. I do think he wins this fight. If he doesn't, fucking Yuri, man, that'd be the quickest getting into the top 3 I think I've seen in a long, long time. But
he would have pulled a Volkan.
Yeah,
I know. Volkan though, man, Volkan was more of just circumstance to me. Like looking back, like I don't think he's worth a shit. I don't think he ever was good. Was Volkan ever good?
Didn't he get submitted by Kelly Enenson in Bellator?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was he ever good though? Like at all?
No, I just answered your question.
Yeah, that does answer it for a little bit. But like, who did Volkan beat when he was on that run to the title fight?
He split with Osp. He knocked
He
out
lost that
the
fight.
chinny Canadian, and then he killed a chinless Jimmy Manoa.
No good wins in there. He lost to Osp, and then he knocked out Serkinov, who ended up not being that great. Manoa gets like a strong gust of wind, and he goes night-night. So I don't know. I like Reyes here, though. I think he's actually the underrated of the two versus Yuri. I think people are thinking too much about that Volkan performance where go back and watch that first round. He was getting beat up there. And I think Yuri's going to have to finish this fight. I don't think he's going to win a decision here. I think he would gas or do something stupid beforehand. I think if this does somehow go to the cards, it's Reyes on top. But I like Reyes here plus money. Yeah. Anything else to add before we wrap?
Eddie Alvarez is turning into a wrestling machine because
I know.
Yeah, because he's getting lit up on the feet.
It could be a COVID reaction.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Nothing else. There's a bunch of cards happening.
Bellator,
like PFL.
Is Bellator this weekend?
I don't think there's Bellator this
the big
weekend.
ones. Wow, there is a Bellator this weekend, but the big one with the Rumble Dick and YOLO is next weekend.
Oh, this one's Rory and PFL.
No,
Got T-Bow. T-Bow's back. The Khabib killer.
That's right.
T-Bow.
PFL last week. If you bet the underdogs,
Plus 300 everywhere.
Yeah,
rolling in the dough.
Yeah.
So that being said, obviously Curtis Millender by decision is the bet.
No.
I did sprinkle on him. I gotta be honest.
I'm thinking of doing a shoe-face Mutanch parlay.
Ooh.
Might as well throw Rory in there too. Just go Chalk City.
Just
Tote special.
Tom Lawler. I mean, shoe-face only minus 300 versus Tom Lawler. Like,
Isn't Tom Lawler a pro wrestler now?
Yeah, he is.
What about Vinny Magalhaes again at plus money or at even money?
He's out.
He pulled out.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So I'll put those.
Yeah, next week is an absolute. You thought this week was shit. Next week we lost Diego Sanchez against Cerrone, and we lost fucking TJ Dillashaw versus.
Yeah, the main event now. They said the rumor is, which they have to change it now, especially with Cowboy and Diego. It was going to be Michelle Waterson versus some girl I've never heard of in the main event.
That's the number 2 ranked straw or whatever weight that is.
What was her name?
Marina Rodriguez.
Nothing. That doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah.
I would have much rather had even title fights that I didn't care about on last week's card. Like, they ended up being entertaining. Yeah, I get it. I didn't care about them at all. I would have those spread out over 3 cards rather than the shit that we had to deal with this week and next week.
There is no Bellator this week.
No, I don't see Bellator.
No, it's every other card. I thought the Rumble Dick fight.
That is next weekend.
Hell, fuck.
And Pettis versus Archuleta.
Do you bet Rumble in that fight? Like, I don't think you can bet that fight. I think there's no way you could have any idea who's going to win that fight.
I'm just watching. That is the one Bellator fight that I will absolutely tune into. Yeah. I don't know how in Canada I can watch it.
YouTube, baby, it's free.
Oh, is that one free as well?
Yeah, I mean, they just put it on YouTube.
I thought it was just the first 2 cards under their new deal that were on YouTube. But
man, that card's good.
They can't find somebody that will carry it in Canada because nobody gives a fuck, so they're just putting it on YouTube. You can be a sick bastard and bet that fight to go to decision.
No thanks. That'd be
5 rounds.
You'd have the worst juju forever if you bet that fight to go to decision. Like, the rest of your life would be just ruined. That card's good. You got the YOLO Rumble fight, Archuleta Pettis, Larkin's facing some dude. Patricky is fighting. Michael Page, Derek Anderson. That's not bad.
It's so much better than the UFC card that week.
Yeah.
So that being said, are we doing a Bellator breakdown next week instead of UFC?
No, we will not. We will not be breaking down Bellator.
We're gonna do one breakdown next week.
That card isn't great. Yo, but you got Kyle Dukakis versus Phil Hawes.
Hawes and the little Dukakis?
Are they going to make the main event just Gregor versus Gregor CDF? It's pretty good.
Mini Dukakis is only -140 in that fight.
He's going to kill him.
Yeah.
You just play it by finish. You play inside the distance. Hawes could barely stand up in his last fight.
That's wow.
You know, he's talking about going to 170.
Yeah, why not? Fuck it.
How does that man make 170?
Well, the fact that he hasn't lost since he's come back, and going into this fight saying I'm going to drop to 170, that's basically like I'm about to get my teeth kicked in. So just know I'm dropping weight.
Yeah, I'm going to cut off a leg and try to make fucking 170.
Doc is good.
That card is so bad.
No way.
That Markos Rogerio de Lima is a favorite in a UFC fight.
And he's a rightful favorite. He's a rightful favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how good is CDF Gregor, though? Pretty good.
That's a good fight.
That's a good fight. Yep.
The card was good.
I mean, Jeff Neal versus Magny should be a good fight, too. That probably could have been a main event.
This main card was really good until it lost the Sandhagen fight. I mean, Sandhagen, Dillashaw, Neil Magny, CDF Gregor, Cowboy Diego, Hawes Dawkins. Like, there's worse main cards than that.
Yep.
Now it's horrible.
Now
Michelle Waterson versus some chick.
That's the number 6 ranked strawweight, Lance. Get your shit right.
Sure,
some
she
chick
is.
or Michelle Waterson?
I assume you're making that up.
Rodriguez.
I thought you said she was number 2.
She was number 2 a couple months ago.
Waterson,
but then other ranked fighters were fighting, so they had to bump them up in the rankings. Yes. You know how it works.
Waterson's at 125? Didn't you say 125?
No, 15. Strawweight.
I don't know who these people are.
Yeah.
All I know is every time I watch Michelle Waterson fight, a little part of me dies.
Well, it's going to be an early nap night for you, so that's a bonus, hey?
Last time she had a main event, I heard it was good. I still haven't seen it. I went to bed after the co-main.
Oh, it was the Hill fight.
Yeah, I didn't watch that. Still haven't watched it. Like, I was going to
that one good?
I was going to watch Waterson versus Hill.
It was action.
Oh, yay.
Was it?
All right, that's probably enough for this week's show.
That's
we're losing people at this point.
Yes. Thank you guys for listening. Enjoy the fights this weekend. We'll be back next week. Thank you.